The digital thermometer hits 192 degrees Fahrenheit. You are cooking 40 pounds of grade A methamphetamine. The barrel of a .45 caliber pistol is pressed against your C4 vertebra. Your official FBI salary is $72,400 a year. The toxic batch boiling in front of you is worth $3.2 million. One wrong drop of anhydrous ammonia, and this trailer vaporizes in a fireball. One wrong twitch, and the cartel paints the drywall with your frontal lobe. You are Special Agent Thomas Vance, badge number 8421. But right now, you are Ghost, a two-time felon and cartel master chemist. You have been deeply undercover for 14 grueling months. The lines are blurring. You smell like pure acetone and federal lies. The fumes burn your alveoli. Your lungs operate at 70% capacity. You breathe in lithium dust and red phosphorus 12 hours a day. The enforcer checks the chamber. He wants the final yield percentage. The purity is 96%. The Bureau explicitly ordered you to tank the batch. But if you drop the purity below 90, you die right here. Survival requires treason. You optimize the lethal crystallization process against direct orders. You are creating chemical poison that will destroy 10,000 human nervous systems. To catch a monster, the federal government requires you to become one. The stainless steel gun lowers, the enforcer claps your shoulder, you pass the test. In your pocket, a concealed wire records everything, every word, every breath. 2 terabytes of encrypted audio, enough evidence for 3 federal life sentences. 2024, you are 34 years old. You are completely alone in a $30 a night motel room in Albuquerque. The golden badge is cold metal, the crystalline ice is warm reality. Your handler, Agent Miller, has not answered the protocol line in 48 hours. Paranoia is no longer an emotion, it is a strict biological imperative. You sleep with the Glock 19 chambered, index finger resting outside the trigger guard. Your resting heart rate is 110 beats per minute. Baseline was 60. The mask is eating the face. The federal lie is becoming your actual truth. The 80 milligrams of propranolol stopped working weeks ago. The hand tremors are visible. Every car door slamming in the lot is a hit squad, or a SWAT team. The cartel suspects a major leak. 5 low-level distributors vanished without a trace yesterday. You handed those exact names to the Bureau. You officially signed their death warrants. You desperately tell yourself you are the good guy, a sheepdog protecting the vulnerable flock. But you know the exact boiling point when human skin melts from industrial battery acid. You know the exact mathematical formula to dissolve a human femur using concentrated lye. You have entirely absorbed their cold mathematics, the rigid, unforgiving arithmetic of cartel murder. A kilo of meth wholesale is $12,000. A human life is absolutely zero. If the cartel discovers the wire, they will systematically skin you with a rusted box cutter. If the Bureau suddenly abandons you, you do 20 hard years in Florence supermax. The final message from Miller reads, Operation Burned. Your identity compromised. Evacuate immediately. You have exactly 30 seconds to disappear off the face of the earth. But heavy tactical boots are already echoing on the concrete walkway outside your door. You are permanently trapped between the federal bureaucracy and a cartel hit squad. The unanswerable question echoes loudly in your deteriorating, chemical-soaked mind. How did a promising Quantico graduate end up waiting for his own violent execution? The answer sounds in your head. You still don't know that this very second will divide your life into before and after. 2014. You are 24 years old. Quantico, Virginia. The Federal Bureau of Investigation Academy. You run the 1.5 miles in 9 minutes and 18 seconds. You score 99% on the behavioral science battery. You actually believe the golden shield means something absolute. You believe in the rigid binary mathematics of good and evil. The sensory anchor of your youth is the sharp smell of industrial ammonia floor wax. A sterile synthetic chemical odor. The smell of order. The smell of federal law. You swear an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies. 2016. You are 26 years old. Welcome to the reality of the Bureau, a GS-10 pay grade. $58,200 a year before federal taxes. You spend 400 hours listening to low-level wiretaps in a windowless room. You learn the absolute mathematical truth of the justice system. We do not fight evil. We process human inventory through plea deals. 97% of federal cases never go to trial. They are just traded. May 12th, 2018. You are 28, the point of no return. Conference Room B. The air conditioning is broken. The air is completely stagnant. Supervisory Special Agent Miller sits across a scratched laminate table. He slides a classified red manila folder toward your hands. Operation Blue Mirage, a Mexican cartel establishing localized synthetic labs. Miller says they need a ghost, someone with zero digital footprint. No wife, no kids, no living parents. You are a biological blank slate. The cartel is recruiting domestic chemists. The Bureau needs an inside asset. You think this is your moment, the career-making case, the hero's journey. Miller tells you it will take 18 months. He lies. You sign the operational directive. You officially volunteer for the meat grinder. The bureaucratic erasure of Thomas Vance begins immediately. The Cyber Division deletes your tax records, your social media, your credit history. Your actual life is reduced to 0 kilobytes of data. You are given a new jacket, a fabricated history of violence and narcotics. 2 state felonies, 4 years served at San Quentin State Prison. Your new name is David Aris. They call you Ghost. The Bureau pays an independent contractor $2,000 to modify your skin. Ink is injected into your dermis. Prison tattoos to establish immediate visual credibility. The pain is real. The identity is a federally funded hallucination. 2019, you are 29 years old. You are dropped into the lower levels of the synthetic drug ecosystem. You buy pseudoephedrine from local Smurfs. You build a reputation as a reliable cook. You stop showering regularly. You stop sleeping. You study organic chemistry until your eyes bleed. The smell of industrial ammonia floor wax from Quantico is gone forever. It is replaced by the suffocating stench of anhydrous ammonia and burnt lithium. You are officially a mechanism of the state, a disposable human asset. Miller goes home to a suburban house. You go to sleep with a loaded shotgun. You wait for the cartel to notice your product. You wait for the hook. 2020. You are 30 years old. The hook finally sets. The local cartel logistics cell makes contact. They do not ask for a resume. They put a canvas bag over your head. You ride in the trunk of the Tahoe for 3 hours. The ambient temperature is 110 degrees. The bag comes off. Welcome to the superlab, a subterranean chemical factory. The lieutenant gives you one order. Cook a sample batch using the P2P method. You stare at 50 gallons of highly volatile phenylacetone. If the yield is below 80%, you do not leave the desert alive. You rely on Quantico training. You balance the methylamine ratios flawlessly. The chemical reaction takes 14 hours. You do not sleep. You do not eat. The yield is 92% pure. The lieutenant nods. You belong to them now. You are accepted into the system. A fraction of Special Agent Vance permanently dies. The first moral compromise is purely mathematical. The cartel demands 100 kilos a week. Wholesale value, $1.2 million. Your cut, $0. You are collecting evidence, not cash. But producing 100 kilos requires stealing massive amounts of industrial precursors. The cartel does not buy the chemicals. They take them by force. You are forced to accompany a hijacking crew to a medical supply depot in Phoenix. A night watchman tries to intervene. He earns $12 an hour. You have a federal badge in your pocket. You have a concealed wire. You do absolutely nothing. You watch the physics of blunt force trauma. The watchman suffers a depressed skull fracture. He will never walk again. If you stop the beating, you blow your cover. The long-term mission fails. You help load the stolen drums into the truck over the bleeding man's body. You return home. You strip off the chemical-soaked clothes. You scrub your skin with industrial soap until it bleeds. You justify it. You tell yourself the watchman is collateral damage for the greater good. Miller's voice echoes in your head. Keep your eyes on the cartel leadership. You upload the audio file to the encrypted bureau server. You log the assault as operational necessity. You sleep for 2 hours. You thought this was the worst of it. You were completely wrong. 2021. You are 31 years old. You are no longer just a cook. You're a critical logistical node. You manage the transportation physics, the geometry of smuggling. A hollowed-out drive shaft of a Peterbilt semi-truck holds exactly 42 pounds of crystal. You learn the dry, unforgiving economics of the interstate highway system. 42 pounds transported across state lines generates $500,000. The drivers are paid $10,000 a trip. They usually get arrested within 6 months. They are entirely expendable, a standard operating expense on the ledger. The lieutenant promotes you. You now control 3 separate distribution routes. You are moving $4 million of product every single month. You are generating more revenue for the cartel than you ever will for your own retirement. But upward mobility in this system requires a blood tax. Midnight, you are summoned to a refrigerated slaughterhouse in South Los Angeles. The ambient temperature is 34 degrees. You are shivering violently. The lieutenant suspects a leak. A low-level distributor named Hector is missing $30,000. Hector is kneeling on industrial plastic. He is weeping uncontrollably. You know for an absolute fact Hector is not the leak. The missing $30,000 was seized by a DEA interdiction unit last week. You arrange the tip. The lieutenant places the suppressed pistol in your freezing right hand. The polymer frame weighs exactly 23.6 ounces. It feels like an anchor. Take out the trash, Ghost, the lieutenant orders. If you drop the gun, you both die. If you pull the trigger, you cross the final line. A trigger pull requires exactly 5.5 pounds of pressure. Physics takes over. A 9mm hollow point expands on impact. The human body holds approximately 5 liters of blood. You just murdered an innocent man to protect your cover as a federal agent. The badge in your mind dissolves completely. You are just a cartel hitman now. You meet Special Agent Miller in a secure location. You hand him the audio wire. You confess to the execution. You tell him you need to be pulled out immediately. Miller secures the evidence. He does not look you in the eye. We need the supplier, Thomas. Bury the guilt. Keep climbing. You thought this was the bottom of the abyss. You were wrong. You are about to become a king. 2022. You are 32 years old. You no longer smell like anhydrous ammonia. You smell like Tom Ford Oud Wood. You have ascended to the apex of the cartel's North American logistical pyramid. You are officially the primary distribution node for the entire West Coast sector. The stainless steel watch on your left wrist retails for $140,000. You report directly to the Central Command in Sinaloa, the true shadow government. Your operational meetings no longer happen in freezing slaughterhouses or desert bunkers. They happen in glass-walled boardrooms in downtown Los Angeles. You do not touch narcotics anymore. You touch encrypted routing numbers and shell companies. Let us conduct a rigid audit of your current existence. Position: West Coast Logistics Director for a transnational criminal syndicate. Official federal income, $84,500 a year. Unofficial cartel income, $4.2 million a month. Conscience balance, absolute zero. The human element has been completely eradicated. You live inside a perfectly constructed, bulletproof illusion of absolute control. You spend $3,000 on a single dinner. You do not taste the food. You own a fleet of armored Mercedes G-Wagons, level 6 ballistic protection. The thick glass stops a .762 rifle round. It does not stop the extreme paranoia. Physiologically, you are in an advanced state of systemic collapse. You consume 200 milligrams of modafinil every morning to force your brain to function. Your resting heart rate never drops below 95. The cortisol is eroding your hippocampus. You perceive every pedestrian as a potential surveillance asset or an assassin. A teenager texting on a bench triggers an acute adrenal spike. You calculate the kill zone. The concept of a normal civilian life is entirely alien to you now. It is a foreign language. The federal government is a parasitic organism. It feeds on your decay. Supervisory Special Agent Miller has been promoted to Deputy Assistant Director. His promotion is built exclusively on the intelligence you provide, on your destroyed psyche. You feed him locations of rival cartel drop houses. The Bureau conducts massive televised raids. The politicians hold press conferences. They claim absolute victory over the narcotics supply chain. It is all theater. While they seize 50 kilos, you reroute 3 metric tons through commercial ports. You control both sides of the chessboard. You dictate the federal wins and the cartel losses. The sheer gravitational pull of the power becomes fundamentally intoxicating. You test the product, just to verify the purity you tell yourself. A quality control measure. The chemical hits your dopamine receptors. For 20 minutes, the screaming paranoia stops. The cartel respects you. They do not lie behind bureaucratic policies. Their brutality is entirely honest. You realize a terrifying, irreversible psychological truth. You hate the federal government. You feel absolute loyalty to the syndicate. Special Agent Thomas Vance is clinically dead. Ghost is the only remaining entity. 2023. You are 33 years old. You live in a fortress. You command a private army of 40 heavily armed men. You have accumulated $28 million in untraceable offshore assets. You have perfectly rigged the system. You have outsmarted the FBI and the cartel command. You plan your exit strategy, a ghost protocol, disappear to a non-extradition jurisdiction. You think you have reached the absolute ceiling. You think you have won the game. You are profoundly mistaken. The mathematical equation always balances itself. You think you have reached the peak and outplayed the entire system. The payback will arrive in exactly 3 years. The brass doorknob clicks. The mechanism disengages completely. A linear breaching charge detonates. The wooden door turns into lethal shrapnel. A 9-bang distraction device lands exactly 2 feet from your boots. 6 million candela of pure white light burns your retinas instantly. 175 decibels of acoustic pressure ruptures your left eardrum. You drop the polymer pistol. The heavy slide clatters against the floor. A solid kinetic strike hits your spine. A 200-pound body pins you down. Industrial flex cuffs cut deep into your radial arteries. Circulation stops in seconds. You expect the cartel execution. You wait for the blade against your throat. But the men screaming commands are speaking perfectly crisp, unaccented English. The smoke slowly clears. A man in a $3,000 charcoal suit enters the room. Leather shoes step precisely over the debris. Supervisory Special Agent Miller. You look up at your handler. You expect an immediate extraction protocol. Miller looks at you. There is zero recognition in his gray eyes. He does not see Special Agent Thomas Vance. He sees a high-value cartel asset. Target secured, Miller says. David Harris, alias Ghost, federal fugitive. The mathematics of your existence crash. The ultimate betrayal is perfectly finalized. You try to scream your real name. You try to recite your badge number. A tactical operator forcefully presses your face deeper into the toxic, ammonia-stained carpet. The Bureau did not come to rescue you. They came to liquidate the evidence. You are transported to a secure federal holding facility in Virginia. The ambient temperature is exactly 55 degrees. You are wearing thin orange cotton. A DOJ prosecutor drops a 400-page federal indictment in front of you. Miller sits beside him. He lays out the cold bureaucratic arithmetic of your destruction. You're 28 million offshore, seized by the Treasury Department 3 weeks ago. Your Panamanian exit passport, manufactured by the Bureau, embedded with a GPS tracker. You were never the architect of your criminal empire. You were always a strictly controlled federal experiment. Miller needed a massive cartel bust to secure his nomination for deputy director. But your methods were too violent. The murders, the extortion, the pure toxicity. You are too dirty to be recognized as a federal agent. You are a massive liability. You went rogue, Thomas. The psychological evaluation shows severe cartel indoctrination. He slides a fabricated psychological profile across the steel table. It officially diagnoses you with acute sociopathy and complete mission failure. There is no public trial. There is no glorious whistleblower moment. It is a closed-door proceeding under the National Security Act. The judge reads the charges in a monotone, mechanical voice. The mathematics of your punishment are carefully calculated. Racketeer-influenced and corrupt organizations act violation, 20 years. Conspiracy to distribute thousands of kilograms of methamphetamine, 40 years. Second-degree murder of a cartel affiliate, life without the possibility of parole. You are charged as David Aris. Thomas Vance officially never existed. You signed the plea deal to avoid the federal death penalty. You are processed out of the system, a broken biological asset. The psychological withdrawal hits. Your brain starves for the adrenaline of the cartel. Your dopamine receptors are permanently burned out. There is only a deep, gnawing void. 2025, you are 35 years old. United States Penitentiary Administrative Maximum Facility, Florence, Colorado. The supermax is not violent. It is mathematically designed to crush the human soul. You are placed in a 7 by 12-foot concrete cell. The bed, the desk, the stool, everything is poured concrete, immovable. You will spend 23 hours a day in this exact physical space. The tattoos you bought for $2,000 are now your only permanent identity. The cartel wants you dead. The federal government has buried you alive. You are a ghost, and this is your tomb. 2035, you are 45 years old. You have been in absolute isolation for 87,600 hours. Your universe is officially reduced to 84 square feet of poured concrete. You pace exactly 7 steps forward. You turn 7 steps back. The human brain requires sensory input to maintain a baseline geometric reality. Denied input, the cerebral cortex begins to aggressively manufacture its own data. You spend 12 hours a day writing complex chemical formulas on toilet paper. You talk to Supervisory Special Agent Miller. You talk to the men you murdered. They do not answer. They just stare at you from the gray corners of the cell. 2045. You are 55 years old. The biological debt of the superlabs finally comes due. The thousands of hours inhaling lithium dust and red phosphorus destroy your cellular structure. You are diagnosed with chronic toxic encephalopathy and severe pulmonary fibrosis. Your lung capacity drops to 32%. Every single breath is mechanical labor. You cough up thick black biometric waste. The cartel is still killing you from the inside. The federal government spends $78,000 a year to keep your failing organs alive. They will not let you die easily. The punishment requires maximum chronological duration. 2054, you are 64 years old. The final systemic collapse begins at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. Your liver completely fails. Hepatic encephalopathy floods your brain with ammonia. Your core body temperature spikes uncontrollably. The digital thermometer in your mind hits 192 degrees Fahrenheit. You are back in the trailer. You are cooking the 40 pounds of grade A glass. Your alveoli shut down. Oxygen saturation drops below 60%. A janitor is mopping the corridor outside your tomb. You inhale. The sharp synthetic smell of industrial ammonia floor wax fills your dying lungs. The sensory anchor of your youth. The smell of order. The smell of the grand federal lie. The unanswerable question from 30 years ago finally resolves in your ruined mind. The exact second that divided your life into before and after was the moment you believed you were the good guy. The biological machine terminates. David Aris is dead. Thomas Vance never existed. The operational file is officially closed. Let us review the final statistics of your existence. Years lived, 64. Total wealth accumulated, $28 million. Wealth retained, exactly 0%. Gallons of toxic precursors inhaled, approximately 1,400. Innocent lives sacrificed for operational security, unquantifiable. Cause of death, hepatic encephalopathy and total organ failure. Cost of state cremation, $350. The entertainment industry romanticizes deep undercover operations. They lie. Myth 1. The cavalry always comes. Hollywood tells you the Bureau extracts their agents when the operational temperature spikes. Reality. You are a massive political liability. The bureaucracy shreds your identity to protect its budget. Myth 2. The unbroken moral compass. Cinema claims a good cop retains his core values despite the overwhelming dirt. Reality. Sustained trauma, violence, and extreme sleep deprivation physically alter neural pathways. The sociopathy is not a temporary act. It becomes a permanent, irreversible neurological condition. Myth 3. The glamorous cartel lifestyle. Television focuses on the mansions, the Rolex watches, and the millions in illicit cash. Reality. You spend those millions sleeping in corners with a loaded gun in your mouth. You mathematically calculate the exact probability of assassination every single time a door opens. If this story made you feel the suffocating stench of anhydrous ammonia and the crushing weight of the federal lie, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell. We tell stories they don't show in movies. In the next video, a new truth. Write a profession in the comments. Your voice decides someone else's fate. See you.